Hi everyone, I'm Fabio from Higher Hertz Project, and today I'm gonna show you the SD1 dynamic microphone from Universal Audio. The SD1 dynamic microphone looks very similar to the so popular SM7B from Shure, but let's see if this microphone has the same characteristic of the SM7B or if it is really different. As you can see and as you can listen, I'm using the SD1 microphone for this video to show you how this microphone sounds for a vocal recording, since this microphone I think it's much more dedicated for vocals than the other instrument. But I'll show you also how it sounds on guitars, and in my opinion sounds really great. The microphone itself is made of aluminum. The ergonomic is really the same of SM7, so you have this integrated shock mount, let me say, really like a broadcasting design. And on the back you have two switches. Basically it's really tiny and really difficult to achieve, but you can have a low pass filter and a gentle boost on 3 kHz, 5 kHz for your vocals. This is really interesting, and for this reason I think it's much more indicated for vocal recording. So right now my vocal is processed, so from my microphone I'm going to my audio interface. I'm using plus 60 dB, and this is really the problem of this microphone. Also the same problem of the SM7B. So basically it requires a lot of power of your preamp. So if you have good preamp, there is no any problem. But if you have cheap preamp of your audio interface, maybe it's not really good for your vocal recording. So you need a good preamp and a lot of dB of preamp. So right now I'm using plus 6 dB, and the vocal is processed with an API compressor and then with a post EQ to boost some of the bass and some of the top end. Now let me grab my headphones so I can listen what I'm recording, and let me show you also the before after, so we can listen the microphone without any post-processing and the microphone processed. So now let me take off my compressor and my equalizer. So this is the sound stock of the microphone without any post-processing. I'm 15 centimeters away from the microphone. I think this is the good position of this microphone. As you can listen, it sounds just a bit muddy. I can listen just a bit of mids. So considering the other microphones similar to this microphone, other podcast microphone, I think the SD1 is not so linear stockly. So I think it emphasizes just a bit the mid frequencies. And for this reason, I think it's much more dedicated for the vocals. So now let's switch the 3-5 kHz switch. Now the switch is on, and as you can listen, my vocal is much more pronounced, but I think it's too nasal in my opinion. So I prefer to have the 3-5 kHz down, so to the flat, because I prefer to boost the frequencies above 5 kHz for vocals. I think this switch on 3-5 kHz is better to emphasize the snare, for example, but for vocals I think it sounds too nasal. It's okay to boost that frequencies, but I think it's too much, so I prefer to go back. So now I think it sounds better. Let me cut the bass, because as you can listen, if I go very close to the microphone, you can listen much more bass, and I think it's really balanced in my opinion. But you can listen this pop noise that this windscreen is doing really a great job. But let's cut the bass. Okay, so now I did a really gentle cut, and I think it sounds just a bit boxy because I lose a lot of bass, I think. So let me adjust again the switch. Now again I have all on the stock. I think it sounds really good. Let me adjust again my position, 15 centimeters away from the capsule. So overall I think it sounds really good. But now let's put again some post equalizer. Here is my equalizer. As you can see, there is much more bass on the 100 kHz and just a bit of top ends above the 5 kHz. I've also cut just a bit the mids. Okay, so this is the equalizer that I like to use for talking purpose. But let's also add some compression with the API. So without the compression, as you can listen, if I move close to the capsule, I'm sounding always very, very loud. With some compression, my vocal is much more leveled. So if I go close to my capsule, there is this hard compression that is working because I'm really too much close, but there is no more this level changing. So if I talk here, as you can listen, 15 centimeters away sounds really, really great. And I can see that it's moving, let me say, minus 8 dB when I talk really loud. So I think this microphone sounds really, really great on vocals. Let's listen how it sounds on guitar cabinet. I've used this microphone in two different positions. On the center of the cone is a warehouse speaker Retro 30, and I use in the center and also on the cap edge. Let's listen. Okay, overall I think it sounds really, really great on guitar, but I think it's much more focused on vocals considering the two switches dedicated for vocals. I think it sounds just a bit muddy on stock, so I think you need some post equalizer. So let me show you again without the Pro EQ. So this is only with my compression, as you can listen my voice. So in this way it sounds just a bit muddy, so too much mids in my opinion. Again with the post EQ, as you can listen, there is no much this muddy sound, much more mids and more top end. I think this sounds great. Okay guys, this was Fabio from Higher Hertz Project. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.